owners don't want their properties to be advertised online, and then they obviously say don't list it, just find me a buyer.
How do you think the client is going to feel when I come back to them with a credible offer?
You can say that you probably found the property through online portals.
I have been working in this area. Let me share a report of what actually the last transaction was for.
But maybe agents should understand that there's a difference between giving information and dumping information.
Always prefer to work with people like themselves, people they like. If I don't like you, I will be inclined not to work with you. And people like themselves.
So there's so much going on. I speak to people in the secondary market. They talk about wanting to buy and wanting to invest in off-plan. Hello everybody, this is another session of Brick Buzz with me, Asad Creates, and Mr. Asim Hussain in attendance today. We're going to talk about some frequently asked questions, some issues that agents sometimes face. I have a bit of a list of those questions, and I'd like to get Asim's feedback on these. Are you ready for the subject? Are you interested in the subject? Is this something you want to talk about?
I think that's the other side of the fence that we need to address. We have topics relating to what is the new development is coming and whatever the new properties are coming and how do we assist our clients. But there is another segment which is the real estate consultants and professionals, and what challenges are being faced in the field and what challenges do we actually have. And we need to address those things as well.
And to be fair, we do several episodes like this.
Yes,
we have done a few.
yes.
So this is just a continuation of the same effort, because we ourselves find new ideas, new challenges.
And we find quite informative discussions, and that is very thought-provoking. And at times, a lot of solutions come out of it.
100%, I agree.
So I'm in the hot seat today.
You're very much in the hot seat. Some questions. This one, let's say, it kind of pertains a little bit towards the secondary market, but agents often face the challenge that they want to list a property. They want a Form A signed by a landlord who wants to put the property on the market. But whether it's for selling or leasing, owners don't want their properties to be advertised online, and then they obviously say don't list it, just find me a buyer. These are some things that agents very commonly and very frequently come across, where people don't want to advertise their properties online. What's your advice to agents, or how would you ask the agents to frame their response or handle this?
I think it's you see, that is the confidence of, you have to build that confidence with the client as well. Have we as agents taken the client through the process of listing a property to actually selling a property? Because unless the client is comfortable enough to share the details with me and list the property with me, how do you think the client is going to feel when I come back to them with an offer, with a credible offer? Now, there is a complete system established by Dubai Land Department, RERA, and that system has been promulgated, refined, tweaked, and enforced, and that goes to the portals as well. So Property Finder, Bayut, Dubizzle, social media, all of these combined will give you a platform in total where you can actually list a property and reach out to the potential buyers. You have to convince your client that your endeavor is to get them the best value for money, the best price point that the property can fetch. The problem comes when a client would give you a property and you give it to one of your friends, and that friend gives it to somebody else in real estate, and ultimately you see 15 ads of the same property on those portals. So any prospective buyer would think that yes, there are 15 to 20 properties available to purchase. That means there's a lot of inventory in the market. And that means that this is not something unique. And I can now play around with the price point and I can try and lower the price. When they try and do that, they would reach out to those 15 and 20 agents, say, I am interested in purchasing that property. And I would like to now negotiate because there's so much inventory in the market. Those 15 and 20 agencies do not have the full information even at times of that particular property. They would go back to that seller and say, I have a client. Now, that seller would think, oh, my property is very much in demand because now I have 20 people reaching out to me for the property. So why should I even bother in negotiating on the price? I should now increase the price. Because I'm going to increase the price because there's so much demand of my property. So that creates an artificial scenario where you have one buyer and one seller and 20 people trying to sell this. So that has been regulated by Dubai Land Department in saying one property should be advertised with just 3 agencies. Property Finder, Bayut, Dubuzzle, all these portals, platforms and social media platforms are being asked to regulate that. And it is the job of the agencies and the particular task of that agent that is handling that property to make sure that he has access to that property. In most of the cases, all the agencies that are promulgating a property or promoting a property or advertising a property do not even have access to that property. They do not have actual real-time footage or access inside that property. So that creates an artificial market. So point 1, I want the agent or the real estate consultant to take the client into confidence that if you're sharing this with me and you're just sharing it with me and not 10 different property portals as well and 10 different agencies as well, then let me work on it on exclusive basis. That's the best way of selling a property. One person reaches out to one particular real estate consultant that he or she feels, yes, this is the best person to safeguard my needs and safeguard my investment, and this is the person that I'm confident is going to get me the best value for money, and that's the way to go about it. If you cannot convince your client, then that is on you. I'm sorry.
What can we say? I think one thing that can be said to convince a client is, let's say, especially if you know that they bought this property, the seller bought or the homeowner bought this property in the last 5, 6, 7 years, you can say that you probably found the property through online portals.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a debate that can be had. So if you found this property through online portals, give other people a chance to find a property, your property.
Also, understand that give something to start with. If I call somebody, say, oh, you have a 2-bedroom apartment or you have a 4-bedroom townhouse to sell, may I have the details? Say, okay, have you worked in this area? I ask people. No, I have not. How much time have you spent on this area? You have no knowledge about this area, so you're not the best person. How I would reach out to a person is, listen, I know you have a 4-bedroom house, for example, a 4-bedroom townhouse in Mudon to sell. I have been working in this area. Let me share a report of what actually the last transaction was for. How much of people are advertising it for? What was the last transaction amount? See those 2 things. See if that brings some clarity to the asking price and this is the asking price I would advise you to go with, and then take it from there. So you are offering something to your client that this is what I have to offer. This is a report I have compiled for you. Review that report, and if you feel happy, allow me to list this property and allow me to sell this in quickest possible manner with the best value for money that I can get for you.
Age-old question. I think we kind of had a conversation about this last time, a couple of weeks ago. But when clients disappear, they vanish after taking all the information from you as an agent. They take a lot of information. Either they go to the developer directly, or they just don't make a decision, or they go asking their friends, or what to do in that situation. I personally think that
Move on to the next lead.
well, I mean,
Develop a pipeline.
but agents have
move on to the next person.
But maybe agents should understand that there's a difference between giving information and dumping information.
You see, sharing information.
Sharing or dumping, right?
No, there's a difference between sharing information. There's a data and information are two different things. I can quote you data from Adams. Is that data relevant to you? Is that data understood by you? Is this data relevant to you? And how so that data has to be converted into information. That particular piece of information that I am sharing with you is actually going to help you establish the price point of the property that you are ready to purchase. If I do not have your best interest, and that can be sensed by the agency, that can be sensed by the individual, that can be sensed by the client. If that is sensed, then you will never be able to retain that client. The client, you see, people always prefer to work with people like themselves, people they like. If I don't like you, I will be inclined not to work with you. And people like themselves. So those two things and elements combined would dictate whether if you still want to go ahead, proceed ahead with taking that information, perfectly fine. As a real estate consultant, you need to develop and define a pipeline. You have prospects, you have leads, and there's a conversion process. There's a very detailed and methodical conversion process. And you should have more people in your pipeline. So if one person decides that, yes, I'm going to take all information from you, and then I'm going to go to the developer and I'm going to directly purchase it from the developer, the unit that you helped select, the unit that you guided them towards, it's inevitable. That's going to happen. Move on to the next lead, move on to the next lead, move on to the next lead.
Agents working in both the primary and secondary market, do you think it's a recipe for distraction and not being able to focus on one thing, or do you think it's a healthy kind of combination of things to work on? Is the market big enough? Like some people say, oh, there's so much going on. I speak to people in the secondary market, they talk about wanting to buy and wanting to invest in off-plan. This happens a lot. People have money, they want to invest in off-plan. If you're primarily a secondary market agent, then it's difficult for you to address that. Or it's difficult for you to guide or help in any real meaningful way to a secondary market client. How would you?
I think we need to focus more on case to case basis, because it's a very broad spectrum comparing off plan and ready. They're two different dimensions altogether. They're two different modes of investment. And in that realm, you have off plan being, for example, if I just take the example of off plan, you have off plan being launched by so many developers. Even now the ready inventory, there's so many places in Dubai, there's so many communities in Dubai, there's so many areas in Dubai. So you cannot just say, tell me an off plan and tell me and which area should I concentrate on. It's your expertise. And then if people are coming to you and trusting you, then you have to do your due diligence. People come to me for advice. Should I invest in off plan? But if you're talking about off plan and the secondary market, it has to be area wise. For example,
I really
talk
like that.
about like Arabian ranches. So you can focus, should I invest in Arabian ranches 1 or an off-plan project in Arabian Ranches 3? That is a more focused question.
And then areas around it, like
And then
Talal Al
areas around it,
Ghaf
and
or
Talal Al Ghaf. So, should I go for the phase 1, which is developed in Talal Al Ghaf, for example, or phase 3 of what is being launched? That is a more relevant question. Then we can dive down. Are you going to live there yourself? There's a list of questions I can go in detail with you. Then you have to, I'll give you an example. It may not be the most prudent example, but this I was just thinking about it and I read about it a lot. There's a great sales question. People come and people say, "Sell me this pen." You have, my take on it, when people tell me, "Okay, Asim, sell me this pen," I can't just sell you that pen. I need to sit with you and I need to understand your need for a pen, your need for actually buying a pen. Which type of pen would you require? What is your need for this? How much are you going to utilize it? What utilization do you have? Will it have it's just going to be a pen, or will it have, is that a gift for your father or for your friend or for your son or for your brother? Will that have a specific meaning associated with it? Do you have an affinity for some brand? So there are 101 questions that I need to ask you in order to establish your need and your requirement for a pen. And based on those questions and the answers that you give me, I would then recommend you, in my humble opinion, the best pen that you can have. So it's not just sweeping statements that we should pass from left to right, but there is a need to dive deep into the conversation with that individual and then come up with answers.
Going back to the area-wise thing that you said between off-plan, and I think similar can be done in if you're a secondary market agent for apartments. Let's say if if you spent 3 years selling in Marina and now you want to do off-plan, what can agents focus on? What other off-plan areas can agent focus on?
Look, Marina is right now, I think, saturated. Marina is crowded and Marina is saturated. Anybody, and the prices have nearly risen to the peak value. You will not have an exponential rise in the price of apartments in Marina. You can have a sustainable increase, 3%, 5%, 6% year on year.
So that's what I'm saying. Let's go directly into this. If I'm an agent in Marina and I've done well last 3-4 years, but I don't see the market moving up that fast, and I feel that I should dabble into off-plan. But with all of my experience with those, if I've been a Marina agent for 4-5 years, I don't think the market is going anywhere. Like I don't feel that there's a lot of opportunity. I want to dabble into off-plan. So as a Marina agent who knows that area well but wants to venture further, where should I go? What's a
so
good...
what the first thing you will come to know is it will not happen overnight. If you're a Marina agent, you're in the secondary market and you see the need and requirement for, and Marina is such a big place. I think there are around 200 buildings in Marina. So you would not be focusing on those 200 buildings. So you would be first focusing on a few buildings or a few areas within Marina or JBR that you will be focusing on. And you will see your pipeline drying up. So that would give you an indication that you need to do something more. So a good alternate would be that you now focus some of your attention towards off-plan market. Definitely, if you are in a real estate consultant or a professional, you would have some idea of off-plan market anyways, because that's your comparative benchmark. Mm-hmm. People would come to you and ask for off-plan project as well. If you say that now I want to move out of Marina, so since that is your area of comfort, you would say, what is the comparable product that is available within that vicinity in off plan? You have already established a market price point in Marina. For example, you say all the apartments that I have sold, not all, but majority of them are hovering around a price point of 2 million dirhams. So you will say, what else is there available on the market? Because I have the clientele, which will go up to 2 million dirhams. They have ready. How much do they have over a period of 3 to 4 years? If the figure comes to be 2 million, then you will focus on, I think you should focus on off plan projects that have a price point of 2 million. Or if you say per year, this client can take out of his kitty 2 million, then you say, okay, I'm going to focus on something which is 6 to 7 million over a period of 3 years or 4 years. When the off plan project is going to be completed, that person has to give installments of around 20% per 25% per year. So 2 million, if he gives for the first year, that means we're talking about 8 to 10 millions over a period of 4 years.
Interesting.
So you have to do your due diligence. You have to come up with numbers. You have to come up with a strategy. And that strategy should definitely include the knowledge base that you have and the customer base that you have developed over a period of time. Anybody who sells off plan, on the flip side of it, would ultimately, if he has a very strong client base and the clients are very happy, at one point in time, they would have to go into the ready market as well, because the clients would ultimately have the properties delivered, have the properties rented, have the properties leased out. At some point in time, you would also, as a real estate consultant, if you want the recurring business from them, would advise them that yes, now this is the right time that you have to sell this property and you have to move into a new investment. Now, are you in the business of building portfolios? If you're in the business of building portfolios, then what you do is you ask people to slightly and gradually invest in off plan, and when those off plans are matured, then you ask them to lease them out, or after a certain period of time when the price is near peaked out, you would ask them to sell them and reinvest when they have achieved maximum capital gain.
And that's where your experience in the secondary market comes in.
That's where you experience. So I think you need to have a balanced strategy for off plan and ready property. And then you need to advise your client base accordingly that, okay, for example, anybody who has invested in Marina, what will be the time when the price are nearly peaked out, nearly maxed out? When the prices have maxed out, that is the time when they should sell that property, reinvest in a couple of, when those properties are ready, and then you have to create silos and you have to create cycles, and those silos and those cycles will allow you to buy, sell, advise your clients how to maneuver this property field.
Good. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Mr. Asim. I think we've covered a few subjects. If you guys have any other questions like this, if you're an agent and you're watching and you have a question similar to this, and you want us to answer it, please let us know in the comments and we'll be happy to
Thank you very
include
much,
that in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.